Welcome back, guys. As you can see that this is an example. Now today, with the help of this example, I would be explaining you the treatment of subscription or any other income for a non-profit organization. Now with this example, the previously taught treatment would be more precise and clear. So if you guys haven't watched the video on the treatment of subscription or any other source of income for NPO, I suggest you to please watch the previous video and then come and solve this example. It would be more clear, definite and precise for all of you. So right now, as you can see, there is this opening balance sheet on 1st April 2018. Now this is an extract because we are not having the full balance sheet. I'll just explain you the treatment of subscription. So the necessary information that is required to calculate subscription shall only be taken into account. Now in this opening balance sheet, you can see that there is one subscription received in advance on 1st April 2018 for Rs 12,000 and an accrued subscription of Rs 15,000 as standing on 1st April 2018. Now there is this receipts and payments account on 31st March 2019. So that means one thing is clear, that this is the current financial year 18-19, where you can see this receipts and payments account that has Rs 60,000 that has been received. And I have always said you to consider this as a cash book, and the debit side to be cash inflows or cash receipts, and the credit side to be cash payments or cash outflows. So here the subscription received in cash during the year is Rs 60,000, and you have the following adjustments. Let's see what the following adjustment has to say. The first adjustment is for accrued subscription for the year 18-19, that is due for Rs 25,000, and we have a subscription for 19-20 that was received in advance from the registered members worth Rs 18,000. And the thing that is very important and crucial to note is 18-19 is the current financial year, and 19-20 becomes the next financial year, and hence 17-18 is the previous financial year. To solve the problem, I would be using the short forms to denote previous financial year as PFY, and subsequently current financial year and next financial year would be denoted as CFY and NFY. So please take this into account. And the non-profit organization or the problem we are dealing with for this non-profit organization is related to 18-19. So we are doing a problem for this financial year 18-19. Hence this 18-19 becomes our current financial year and our source for solving the problem. So now I think we shall begin to solve it. Now the first, let's look at this. As you can see, I had already drawn this particulars and this rupees, this statement where I am going to solve and calculate the subscription that will be credited to income and expenditure account. So now in this format, the first thing that I would be definitely putting is this subscription received. So this amount of 60,000 would first be written over here. Subscription received in current financial year shown in, I'm writing this in short form, shown in receipts and payments account. So what's the amount? It is 60,000. So I put this 60,000 over here. Now once I have placed this item, now let's look at the other items. Okay, now which are the items? 2 on top and 2 are the adjustments. Okay, let's begin with adjustments only first. You can see this rupees 18,000. This 18,000 and the information pertaining to this 18,000 is what? It's clearly showing that for the financial year 1920, which has not yet come, but still its advance was received from the registered members for rupees 18,000 in the current financial year 1819. But since you know that this new financial year or the next financial year of 1920 has not yet arrived, hence this receipt has to be deducted, because this cannot be shown as an income for the current financial year 1819. So here we deduct the first item, less subscription, I am writing this in short form, guys, please don't confuse. RECD, subscription received in advance. Again I am writing ADV, advance. This is related to next financial year, guys. So in any way this can never be considered as forming a part of subscription that can be booked in this financial year or this current financial year. Hence I am deducting 18,000. Clear? Now let's move to the second item. Let's go on top to the opening balance sheet. You can see that there is this accrued subscription of rupees 15,000 that's standing in the opening balance sheet. It means that in the previous financial year some subscription, that means this subscription of rupees 15,000 that is standing in the opening balance sheet was earned in the previous financial year. That means it is definitely related, connected and incidentally well associated with the previous financial year 17-18. Now the reason why it is standing in the opening balance sheet as an asset, as an accrual, is solely because of this fact that this was not received in the previous financial year. But certainly this 15,000 was booked as an income in the previous financial year 17-18. But now this 15,000 in this current financial year 18-19 stands received and is included in the 60,000. So we have to separate it, deduct it from 60,000, this accrued subscription for previous financial year. So let's deduct less accrued subscription. There we go. Now this accrued subscription for previous financial year. Hope you understood that this was for previous financial year. The cash which is received was in this current financial year, but this was earned in the previous financial year. Hence we cannot treat it as an income again. How can we treat an income twice or thrice? Come on. So let's deduct 15,000. So now once we deduct 15,000, now we are probably left with two items. Let's look at the first item is this one, and the item that remains is this one. That is subscription accrued for the year 18-19. Okay. Now this subscription received in advance, as you can see standing in the opening balance sheet on the liability side, indicates that this 12,000 relates to an advance that was paid in the previous financial year 17-18. And since this was never associated with 17-18, or hence this was shown as a liability. Now in this current financial year 18-19, when the services are being given to the members, then only this 12,000 now shall be connected and recognized as a revenue in this current financial year. Hence we have to add this 12,000, right? Let's add it. Let's add subscription received in advance in previous financial year, earned in current financial year. So the subscription was received in advance in previous financial year, earned in current financial year. That means its existence comes into picture in the current financial year. Hence we add 12,000 rupees. Now we are left with one sole item, that is from adjustment, that is accrued subscription. It is clearly mentioned for the year 18-19. That means for the current financial year 18-19, this 25,000 was earned. The members received their services and all the facilities that they were supposed or bound to receive, but they did not pay this amount. That means this amount of 25,000 for the current financial year, 18-19, this 25,000 stands due, that is yet to be received. But since this is clearly recognized against the services of current financial year, it has to be treated and added. Hence we add this 25,000. Add accrued subscription earned in CFY. Please guys, don't get confused by CFY, PFY or NFY. I have again said that NFY is next financial year, PFY is previous financial year, and CFY stands for current financial year. Please keep this in mind. So here we add the amount of rupees 25,000 that goes over here straight away. Now from 60,000 deducting 18, deducting 15, adding 12 and adding 25 gives a result of 64,000. So this result of 64,000 is actually the subscription credited to income and expenditure account. That means this 64,000, that is 60 less 18 less 15, adding 12 and 25, 37, that stands for 64,000. This 64,000 is the amount, as you can see from here, shall be considered as the income that is truly recognized and earned as the main source of revenue for the non-profit organization for the current financial year 18-19. So here we are going to now credit this to income and expenditure account. I had said that the income and expenditure account, treat it as a PL account, debiting all losses and expenses and crediting all incomes and gains. So here we write over here by subscription, and we credit 64,000 rupees over here, right? And after that, its final treatment remains in the closing balance sheet. Now as you can see that there are two items that require their place in the closing balance sheet. The first item is this 25,000 that has been earned in the current financial year but not received. Hence this becomes receivable. As I said, when anything is receivable, you can treat it as something that is sort of a debtors. Now if you consider it from the trading point of view, anything that was receivable from sales was treated as debtors. So similarly, this is also a debtor, but we cannot write it in the name of debtors. Hence we are bound to write it as accrued subscription. So here we write this 25,000 as accrued subscription that is not received. accrued subscription, that stands 25,000. In the bracket you can write it's for current financial year. Okay, and the last item is basically, you can see this subscription for 1920 which was received in advance. So this 18,000 was received in advance for the next financial year 1920, which has not yet come. Hence, as a result, this 18,000, the service against this 18,000 would be provided in the next financial year 1920. So until then, this shall be considered as a liability, and that's the reason for this. That's the reason for which this 18,000 was deducted, and now it shall find its place as a liability in the closing balance sheet as at 31st March 1919. So we write here subscription received in advance, received in advance for next financial year, and we write over here this 18,000 to be represented or disclosed over here. And finally we are done with the solution of this problem. As you can see guys, I have drawn a hammer just to push this into your head, so that once this goes into your head, even when you see that you are going through the operating or non-operating expenses, you would get this logic. So please, this hammer is an indication that this has to be pushed into your head, guys. So please look at the solution now. And finally, last but not the least, this note is very crucial, guys. I am solving problem for the year 1819, current financial year. Hence, 1718 becomes its previous financial year and 1920 becomes its next financial year. So PFY, CFY and NFY, that there should be clarity in this three. Once there is clarity in this three, you can clearly understand this NFY, PFY, CFY, all these which are written, they indicate to the following year 1718, 1819 and 1920. So this note, guys, this note is really crucial. Please, this is the basis for solving. Okay, so I finally come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, guys, stay connected, and I hope that you guys are really safe and sound in this prevailing situation of coronavirus. Thank you guys. Stay safe, stay calm.